The human fleet assembled at the edge of Council space. It was the largest gathering of human military forces in history. 212 warships from massive carriers to small stealth vessels. Every ship was battle-tested. Every crew was ready. Admiral Ji-won Park stood on the bridge of the New Harmony, humanity's new flagship. She had come far from the naive captain who believed in peaceful first contact. The war had changed her, hardened her, but not broken her. All ships report ready, Suji announced from the tactical station. She had become Ji-won's second in command, her intelligence skills invaluable. Good, Ji-won replied. She opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Park to all ships. Today we stop running. Today we stop hiding. Today we show the Council what happens when they attack humanity. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward Axis Prime. It wasn't a surprise attack. Ji-won wanted them to know humans were coming. The Council's defense fleet scrambled to intercept. Over 500 warships moved to protect their capital world. It was the largest military force they had assembled since the war began. But Ji-won wasn't planning to fight them directly. Not yet. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light at the edge of the Axis Prime system. The Council fleet moved to engage, confident in their superior numbers. Then Junho activated his virus. Across the Council fleet, systems began failing. Weapons wouldn't fire. Shields dropped. Navigation went haywire. Ships that had been perfectly functional moments before suddenly became floating debris. What's happening? A Veltrax commander shouted. His tactical display was showing error messages. His weapon systems were offline. His ship was helpless. The humans, his tactical officer said in horror. They've hacked everything. Our computers, our AI systems, our automated defenses. They're all compromised. Junho sat at his station on the New Harmony, his fingers flying across his keyboard. I've been planting this virus for over a year, he said calmly. Every system you have is infected, and now it's mine. With a few keystrokes, he shut down half the Council fleet. Hundreds of warships went dark, drifting in space. The remaining Council ships tried to fight, but the human fleet was ready. Bora's ghost fleet emerged from stealth, hitting targets with precise quantum torpedoes. The new weapons Yuna had developed tore through Council shields like paper. All ships concentrated fire on the command carriers, Ji-won ordered. She wasn't trying to destroy the entire fleet. She was demonstrating power, showing them that humanity could reach anywhere, anytime. But she had something else prepared, something that would change everything. Open a channel to the Council leadership, she commanded. All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this. The channel opened. Ji-won's face appeared on displays across Axis Prime and throughout Council space. Counselors, this is Admiral Ji-won Park of the Terran Coalition. Your fleet is disabled. Your defenses are down. But I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to talk. On Axis Prime, the Council leadership gathered in their emergency chambers. They watched the human admiral with a mixture of fear and hatred. You're in no position to negotiate, the Veltrax military commander said. Ji-won smiled coldly. Actually, I am. Let me show you something. On every screen, an image appeared. It was a device, small and innocuous looking. But the Council scientists immediately recognized it. That's a quantum destabilizer, a Lumini counselor said in shock. Connected to our faster-than-light relay network. Correct, Ji-won said. Over the past year, my people have gained access to every major relay point in Council space. We've installed devices at each one. With a single command, I can sever every connection in your network. Every planet, every station, every ship would be cut off from faster-than-light communication and travel. Your civilization would collapse. The Council chambers fell silent. The relay network was the foundation of their entire society. Without it, their empire would fragment into thousands of isolated worlds. You're bluffing, the Veltrax commander said, but his voice lacked confidence. Am I? Ji-won nodded to Junho. Show them. One relay point went dark. It was a minor one, connecting two unimportant systems. But the demonstration was clear. The humans could do what they claimed. We could destroy you, Ji-won continued, just as you tried to destroy us. We could leave your civilization in ruins. But we're not like you. We don't commit genocide just because we're afraid. She pulled up a document. These are our terms. First, immediate withdrawal of all Council forces from Earth and human colonies. Second, full reparations for the damage you've caused. Third, dismantling of your offensive military forces. Fourth, establishment of a new galactic government with human oversight to prevent future genocides. Those terms are outrageous, a counselor protested. They're fair, Jiwan replied, compared to what you did to us. Compared to what you did to 32 other species. We're offering you a chance to survive. Take it or don't. But make your decision quickly. The Veltrax commander rose from his seat. Never. We will not surrender to primitives. All forces ignore the virus. Manual controls. Attack the human fleet. Some council ships tried to comply. They switched to manual systems, trying to bring weapons online. But Daehyun's forces chose that moment to strike. Across 12 star systems, resistance fighters launched coordinated attacks on council military bases. Bases the council thought were secure suddenly erupted in explosions. Daehyun had been planning these strikes for months, waiting for this moment. You wanted war. Daehyun's voice came over the broadcast. You got it. But not the war you expected. At the same time, Bora's ghost fleet appeared in orbit around 5 council homeworlds. Not to attack, but to demonstrate. Human ships materialized above planets that had thought themselves safe, far from the fighting. We can reach you anywhere, Bora broadcast. No world is beyond our reach. No system is safe. Surrender or watch your civilization burn. The council members looked at each other in growing panic. They had lost control. The war they thought they were winning had turned against them completely. There's more, Jiwan said. She pulled up images of the cascade reactor that Yuna had built. This weapon can destroy your entire fleet in one shot. It works by detonating your faster-than-light engines simultaneously. One trigger and every council ship within a light year is destroyed. You wouldn't dare, a Lumini counselor said. I would, Jiwan replied simply. I've lost my homeworld. I've watched billions of my people die. I've spent 18 months fighting for survival. Don't think for a moment that I'm not willing to use every weapon we have. Admiral Hyun appeared on the broadcast beside Jiwan. The Admiral speaks for all of humanity. We didn't want this war, but since you gave us no choice, we've become very good at it. You tried to eliminate us because you were afraid of what we might become. You were right to be afraid. The council leadership argued among themselves. Some wanted to keep fighting. Others saw the inevitable end. The Veltrax commander called for one final assault, but nobody would follow his orders anymore. It was the Lumini who finally spoke for the council. What guarantee do we have that you won't destroy us even if we surrender? None, Jiwan admitted. Just like we had no guarantee when we reached out to you in friendship. You betrayed that trust. Now you'll have to trust us. The difference is we actually mean what we say. She let that sink in. But I'll sweeten the deal. We'll release the 32 species you destroyed. We've been studying your records. We know where their remnants are. The populations you scattered or imprisoned. We'll give them back their freedom and help them rebuild. Let the galaxy see what real justice looks like. That struck a chord. Many council species hadn't known about the destroyed civilizations. Learning about it had shaken their faith in their leaders. The offer to restore those species appealed to the better nature of those who still had one. The Lumini counselor made the decision. We accept your terms. On behalf of the council, we surrender. The Veltrax commander tried to object, but his own people arrested him. The council's military forces stood down. The war was over. But there was still one thing to do. Nari's Special Forces team, which had infiltrated deep into council space, activated their final mission. They had been positioned at key locations across multiple worlds. Now they moved to secure council leadership, ensuring the surrender was genuine. Over the next weeks, the terms were implemented. Council troops withdrew from Earth. The occupation ended. Humans returned to their battered planet ready to rebuild. The 32 destroyed species were released from their prisons. Some were just small populations that had been kept alive as curiosities. Others were larger groups that had been forced into labor. All of them received human technology and support to rebuild their civilizations. A new galactic government was formed. It was called the Interstellar Federation, and it had strict rules against preemptive warfare. Humanity, despite being the newest species, held permanent veto power. It was insurance against future aggression. 3 months after the surrender, Jiwan stood on Earth's surface for the first time since the war began. The planet was scarred. Cities were still in ruins. But people were rebuilding, planting gardens in bomb craters, raising new buildings beside destroyed ones. The council wasn't as unified as it appeared. Ambassador Quan O had been a negotiator for the United Nations before the war. Now he was using those same skills to tear the council apart from within. He worked from a hidden base in the asteroid belt, sending encrypted messages to moderate council species. His target was the Quelvar, a peaceful herbivorous species that had never been comfortable with military action. "You were told humans were aggressors," Quan's message said. "But look at the evidence. Who attacked first? Who bombed civilian cities? The council did. And they've done it before 32 times. How many of those species were actually threats? How many were just convenient targets?" The message spread through Quelvar space. Their leaders tried to suppress it, but information wanted to be free. Quelvar citizens began asking uncomfortable questions. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Nari Yu was preparing for the most dangerous mission of the war. She was Special Forces, trained for infiltration and sabotage. Her new assignment was to penetrate the Council's capital world Axis Prime and attend a diplomatic summit. "You'll be going in deep cover," Admiral Hyun explained. "We've acquired a Quelvar identity for you. The biological disguise will hold for about 3 weeks." Nari looked at the image of what she would become. The transformation would be painful, using experimental genetic modification, but she didn't hesitate. "What's my objective?" "Plant evidence. Make the council leadership fight each other instead of us." The transformation took 3 days. When it was done, Nari looked in the mirror and saw a Quelvar looking back. The creature had gray-green skin, large eyes, and delicate features. She moved her new body experimentally, getting used to the different proportions. "How do I look?" she asked in perfect Quelvar language. The genetic modification had even altered her vocal cords. "Terrifying," Juwan admitted. "Good luck, Lieutenant." Nari traveled to Axis Prime on a captured council transport. Her forged credentials identified her as a junior diplomat from a minor Quelvar world. Nobody paid attention to junior diplomats. That was the point. Axis Prime was beautiful. Gleaming towers reached toward the sky. Gardens filled with alien plants covered every open space. It was a world that had never known war, never known suffering. The Council's elite lived here in luxury while they sent others to die. The diplomatic summit was held in the Grand Council Chamber, a massive building at the planet's capital. Thousands of representatives from 47 species gathered to discuss the human problem. Nari sat in the back, recording everything with hidden devices. She watched as the Veltrax military leadership demanded total extermination of humanity. She saw the Lumini counselors argue for a negotiated settlement. She observed the fractures and tensions beneath the surface. Then she went to work. Over the next 2 weeks, Nari planted evidence in the Council's own databases. She made it look like the Veltrax leadership had been stealing resources from other species. She created false communications, showing they were planning to eliminate rival council members once humanity was dealt with. She worked carefully, making sure the evidence would be found by the right people at the right time. Then she disappeared, leaving Axis Prime before her disguise failed. The evidence was discovered 3 days later during a routine audit. The revelation sent shockwaves through the council. "The Veltrax have been embezzling trillions of credits," a Lumini auditor announced to the full council. "Resources meant for defense have been diverted to private accounts. Worse, we found communications suggesting they plan to use the current crisis to seize complete control of council military forces." The Veltrax leadership denied everything. They claimed it was human sabotage, which was true, but they couldn't prove it. The other species were already suspicious after months of heavy-handed military actions. 3 species withdrew their fleets from the war against humanity. 2 others demanded full investigations. The unified front against Earth began to collapse. Back in human space, Haejin Lim was working on her most important broadcast yet. She had compiled footage from the war, interviews with survivors, and evidence of council atrocities. Now she was ready to show the galaxy the truth. Her broadcast began with simple images. Earth before the attack, blue and beautiful. Then Earth after, cities burning, billions dead. She showed the council's first strike, unprovoked and devastating. "They call us aggressors," Haejin's voice narrated. "They say we're dangerous. But look at what they did. We offered friendship. They answered with genocide." She showed footage from the 32 previous species the council had destroyed. Worlds reduced to rubble. Entire civilizations erased. "We're not the first. We're just the first to fight back." The broadcast reached across the galaxy. It was shown on Quelvar news networks. It spread through the territories of species who were beginning to doubt the council. It even reached some council members who didn't know the full truth of what their leadership had done. Public opinion began to shift. The council had always presented itself as benevolent, maintaining peace through strength. Now that image was cracking. On Earth, the occupation forces were struggling. Dahyun's resistance had spread across the planet. Every city had fighters. Every town had saboteurs. The Council couldn't hold territory without massive force, and they didn't have enough troops. "We're bleeding them," Dahyun reported. "They have to keep soldiers on every street corner, guard every facility. It's exhausting their military." At the same time, the Ghost Fleet was hitting Council colony worlds, not attacking civilians but destroying infrastructure. Power grids went dark. Manufacturing centers stopped production. Supply chains collapsed. Bora led the attack on a major industrial world called Terex 5. Her fleet appeared without warning, destroyed the orbital shipyards, and vanished before the defense fleet could respond. The entire operation took less than an hour. "Target eliminated," she reported. Ghost Fleet returning to base. 0 casualties. The Council military was in chaos. They had to defend thousands of installations across hundreds of star systems. While the Ghost Fleet could strike anywhere at any time, it was an impossible task. Admiral Hyun watched the reports with satisfaction. "We're winning the strategic game. They have more ships, more weapons, more everything. But we're forcing them to spread out while we concentrate our forces." "There's something else," Junho said, entering the command center. "I've been monitoring Council communications. They're starting to panic. Some species are talking about leaving the Council entirely." "Which ones?" Jiwon asked. "The Quelver for sure. Maybe 2 or 3 others. They're tired of the war. They're worried about human retaliation, and they're angry about the Veltrax corruption." Kwano's diplomatic efforts were bearing fruit. He had been in secret communication with Quelvar leaders, offering them a way out. "Humanity doesn't want to destroy the galaxy," his messages said. "We just want to survive. Help us and we'll remember it when this is over." The Quelver were listening. Their homeworld was far from Earth, and they had no strategic interest in human space. The war was costing them resources they needed elsewhere, and now they were learning their leaders had lied to them about humanity's aggression. A vote was called in the Quelver Parliament. After heated debate, they made their decision. The Quelvar would withdraw from the Council's military coalition against humanity. "It's a mistake," the Veltrax ambassador hissed. "Humans are dangerous. They must be eliminated." "You told us they attacked first," a Quelvar senator replied. "But we've seen the evidence. The broadcasts. The timeline. The Council attacked without provocation. We will not be part of genocide." 2 other species followed the Quelvar's lead. The Council's united front was breaking apart. In desperation, a Veltrax general proposed a final solution. "We should glass Earth's surface. Sterilize the planet completely. End this threat once and for all." The proposal went to a vote. The Lumini leadership opposed it, knowing such an action would destroy what little moral authority the Council had left. Other species were divided. The vote failed by a narrow margin. Earth would not be destroyed, at least not yet. But the political deadlock gave humanity precious time. Time to build more ships, time to develop better weapons, time to find more allies. Dr. Yuna completed the Cascade reactor. It was a terrifying weapon, capable of destroying an entire fleet by causing their faster-than-light engines to detonate simultaneously. "It's ready," she told Admiral Hyun, "but I hope we never have to use it." "Hope is a luxury," Hyun replied. "Prepare it anyway." Minho's biological weapons had evolved. He had created agents that could target multiple species at once or be adjusted for specific targets. It was dark work but necessary. "I dream about the people I've killed," he admitted to Jiwon. "But then I remember why we're fighting." "We'll carry these sins," Jiwon said quietly. "All of us. When this is over, if we survive, we'll have to live with what we've done. Better to live with guilt than die with clean hands." Sarah Bayek had organized a supply network that stretched across human space and beyond. She had even established secret trade with some Council species, who were willing to sell supplies in exchange for human technology. "War makes strange partnerships," she said. 6 months into the war, humanity unveiled its first major counterattack. It wasn't what anyone expected. Captain Bora Nam sat in the pilot seat of the Silent Storm, a ship unlike anything the Council had seen. It was small, barely the size of a Council patrol craft, but it was covered in experimental technology that made it nearly invisible. The stealth system had been developed by an engineer named Tai Yang Ro, who had worked at a civilian tech company before the war. His team had been researching adaptive camouflage for cargo ships, trying to reduce piracy. Now that same technology was saving humanity. All systems green, Bora reported over the secure channel. Quantum camouflage is holding. They can't see us. Around her in the darkness of space, 19 other ships waited. They were the first of humanity's ghost fleet. Vessels equipped with stealth technology and armed with Yuna's quantum disruption torpedoes. Each ship had a small crew. Each crew knew they might not come back. Admiral Hyun's voice came through her headset. Ghost Fleet, you are cleared to begin Operation Phantom. Target the fuel depot at Proxima Centauri. Hit them hard, then disappear. Show them that nowhere is safe. Bora smiled grimly. Understood, Admiral. Ghost 1 moving to attack position. The journey to Proxima Centauri took 3 days. The Ghost Fleet traveled in silence, their signals masked, their heat signatures dampened. To Council sensors, they were nothing more than background radiation. The fuel depot was massive, supplying the Council's entire fleet in this sector. Hundreds of ships refueled there every day. It was heavily defended with shield generators and automated defense platforms. But the Council had grown lazy. They had been the dominant power for so long that they couldn't imagine someone attacking them. All ships on my mark, Bora said. 3, 2, 1 mark. The Ghost Fleet materialized from nothing. One moment the space around the depot was empty. The next 20 human warships appeared, weapons blazing. The quantum torpedoes passed through the depot's shields like they weren't there. Explosions rippled across the station. Fuel tanks ruptured, creating a chain reaction. The entire depot went up in a fireball that could be seen from the nearby planet. Council defense platforms tried to target the human ships, but they were already gone. The Ghost Fleet activated their camouflage and vanished, scattering in different directions. By the time Council reinforcements arrived, there was nothing left but debris and confused defenders. The attack sent shockwaves through the Council. For the first time, they realized they were vulnerable. How did they do that? The Veltrax military commander demanded. Our sensors showed nothing. They appeared from nowhere. The humans are adapting, Illumini counselor said. We underestimated them. But the Ghost Fleet wasn't done. Over the next months, they struck 47 targets. They hit supply convoys, communication relays, and shipyards. Each attack was carefully planned to cause maximum damage with minimal risk. They never engaged in direct combat. If Council ships tried to chase them, they simply disappeared. It was psychological warfare as much as physical warfare. The Council fleet became paranoid, jumping at shadows, seeing threats everywhere. Back at the Kuiper station, Sarah Bayek coordinated the logistics that made the Ghost Fleet possible. Every attack required fuel, ammunition, and supplies. Every ship needed maintenance. She organized it all with the efficiency of a master executive. We have 3 more ships ready, she reported to Admiral Hyun. That brings the Ghost Fleet up to 37 vessels. Good, we'll need more, Hyun replied. He was studying intelligence reports from Junho's hacking efforts. The Council is starting to panic. Their military is stretched thin trying to defend everything. Dr. Minho Kim entered the command center holding a data pad. His expression was troubled. Admiral, I've completed the first batch of biological weapons, but I need to know which targets you want to use them on. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew what biological weapons meant. We use them on military installations only, Ji-won said firmly. She had been promoted to commander and now served as Hyun's second-in-command. We're not targeting civilians. The Council didn't spare our civilians, Dae-hyun said over the communication link. His voice was cold. Since Mars, he had become harder, more ruthless. That's why we're better than them, Ji-won replied. We don't murder innocents, Hyun made the final decision. We'll use the biological weapons against their shipyards and military bases, places where only soldiers are present. Minho, prepare the weapons. Bora, your fleet will deliver them. The biological attack on the Veltrax military shipyard at Kepler Station was devastatingly effective. The agent Minho had targeted the Veltrax respiratory system specifically. Within hours, every Veltrax worker at the shipyard was dead or dying. Other species were unaffected. It was brutal. It was terrible. But it worked. The Council leadership panicked. They had never faced an enemy willing to use such weapons. For millennia, they had enforced galactic peace through overwhelming force. Now that force wasn't enough. We need to negotiate, some Council members argued. The humans are too dangerous. We need to destroy Earth completely, others countered. Glass the entire planet. End this threat. But they couldn't agree. The Council, which had been united for thousands of years, began to fracture. Meanwhile, Junho made his greatest breakthrough. He had been working on a virus to infect Council computer systems. It had taken months of careful coding, but he finally had something that worked. "It's beautiful," he said, showing his work to Suji. The virus spreads through their network slowly, hiding itself in normal data traffic. They won't know it's there until we activate it. "What does it do?" she asked. "Whatever we want. Shut down weapon systems, override navigation, open airlocks. I've hidden copies in their military network, their civilian infrastructure everywhere." He grinned. "We've got a digital gun pointed at their head and they don't even know it." Back on Mars, Daehyun's resistance forces had grown from a few hundred fighters to nearly 10,000. They controlled the underground portions of 3 major colonies and were making life miserable for the Council occupation forces. The Council sent a full battalion to crush the resistance. It was a mistake. Daehyun's forces had been preparing for months. They had turned the tunnels into a maze of traps and ambush points. The Council soldiers used to fighting in open space were slaughtered in the tight corridors. "We killed 3,000 of them," Daehyun reported. His voice held no satisfaction, only cold efficiency. "Lost 200 of our own. The tunnels are secure. The victory on Mars inspired resistance cells across Earth. In the ruins of Shanghai, fighters destroyed a Council command center. In the Amazon, guerrilla forces ambushed supply convoys. The Council's occupation was turning into a nightmare. At the Kuiper station, Dr. Yuna had been working on something new. She called it the Cascade Reactor, a weapon that could destroy an entire fleet with one shot. It worked by creating a chain reaction in the exotic matter used in Council faster-than-light engines. "It's extremely powerful," she warned Admiral Hyun, "but also extremely dangerous. If something goes wrong, it could create a black hole." "Can you build it?" he asked. "Yes, but I need rare materials, elements that only exist in Council space." "Then we'll get them," Bora said. She had become the unofficial leader of the Ghost Fleet, respected by every captain. "Give me a list of targets." The Ghost Fleet struck a Council mining operation in the Tau Ceti system, stealing the materials Yuna needed. They hit 3 research stations, taking data on Council weapons technology. Each raid made the Council more desperate and more afraid. Human refugees from destroyed colonies began joining the military. Civilians who had never held weapons before trained to become soldiers. Scientists became weapons designers. Children who lost their parents in the attacks grew up wanting revenge. Humanity was transforming. The peaceful species that had reached out for friendship was becoming something else. Something harder. Something dangerous. A woman named Haejin Lim, who had been a documentary filmmaker before the war, started recording everything. She filmed the battles, the suffering, the determination of human fighters. Then she began broadcasting it across space on every frequency she could access. "Let the galaxy see what the Council has done," she said. "Let them see who the real monsters are." Her broadcasts reached far beyond human space. Other civilizations, some who were Council members, saw the footage. They saw the destroyed cities on Earth. They saw children starving under Council occupation. They saw human soldiers fighting with desperate courage. Some of those civilizations began to question the Council's version of events. Hadn't the Council said humans were dangerous aggressors? But the broadcast showed humans defending their homes, fighting for survival. Seeds of doubt were planted. The Council's unity began to crack further. Admiral Hyun gathered his command staff for a briefing. Jiwon, Bora, Daehyun joining via communication link. Minho, Yuna, Junho, Suji, Sarah, and others. They were the core of humanity's resistance. "We've been fighting for 6 months," Hyun said. "We've gone from 37 ships to over 100. We've destroyed or damaged more than 300 Council vessels. We've killed thousands of their soldiers. But we're not winning. We're just surviving." The Kuiper research station was a small facility, hidden among the ice and rock at the edge of the solar system. It had been built for deep space research, far from prying eyes. Now it was one of the few human outposts the Council didn't know about. Jiwon, Minho, and Suji arrived to find it already crowded with survivors. Ships had limped in from across the solar system, carrying wounded soldiers and terrified civilians. The station's medical bay was overwhelmed. Bodies lined the corridors, waiting for treatment that might never come. Admiral Hyun Lee was there, coordinating what remained of Earth's fleet. His uniform was torn and stained with blood. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw Jiwon, his expression hardened. Captain Park, I'm glad you survived. We need every officer we can get. Admiral, what's the situation? Ji-won asked, though she dreaded the answer. Hyun pulled up a holographic display. The solar system appeared before them, marked with red zones. There were so many red zones. Earth's major cities were hit in the first strike. New York, Beijing, Mumbai, Lagos, São Paulo. Billions dead in the first hour. They targeted our industrial centers and military bases with precision. He zoomed in on Mars. Mars colony held out for 6 hours. Colonel Dae-hyun Sung led the defense, but they were overwhelmed. Last reports say he's alive and organizing resistance cells in the underground habitats. Minho stared at the display, his face pale. What about the moon? Europa, Titan. Luna base was completely destroyed. Europa and Titan are cut off. We don't know if anyone there survived. Hyun's voice was flat, emotionless. He had to be, or he would break. Council occupation forces have landed on Earth. They're setting up puppet governments and stripping the planet of resources. How many ships do we have left? Ji-won asked. 37 combat vessels. Against a council fleet of thousands. Hyun laughed bitterly. They offered us peace and friendship. We believed them. We let our guard down. Suji spoke up. Admiral, I need to show you something. I intercepted council communications before we escaped. Earth isn't the first species they've done this to. She transferred her data to the station's computer. Files appeared, thousands of them. Reports spanning millennia. Hyun's eyes widened as he read. They've destroyed 32 civilizations, Suji said quietly. Any species that develops too quickly, that shows too much potential, they eliminate. They call it preventative peacekeeping. They were going to make us number 33. Admiral Hyun was silent for a long moment. Then he slammed his fist on the table. Send this to every human outpost. Every ship. Every survivor. I want everyone to know what we're fighting against. Over the next weeks, the situation grew worse. Council forces tightened their grip on Earth. They hunted down resistance fighters and executed anyone who opposed them. Food shipments were cut off to rebellious cities. Millions more died from starvation and disease. But humanity didn't surrender. On Mars, Colonel Dae-hyun Sung had turned the underground tunnels into a fortress. His guerrilla fighters struck council supply convoys and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. They couldn't win direct battles, but they could make the occupation costly. Dae-hyun was a hard man, made harder by war. He had watched his colony burn. He had held dying friends in his arms. Now he fought with cold efficiency, using every dirty trick he could think of. The council called him a terrorist. He called himself a survivor. At the Kuiper station, a woman named Dr. Yuna Han arrived on a badly damaged freighter. She was a physicist who had worked on classified weapons projects before the war, projects so secret that even Admiral Hyun hadn't known about them all. We were developing quantum disruption torpedoes, she explained to the assembled officers, weapons that could bypass energy shields by existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The Council doesn't have anything like them because their technology developed along different paths. Minho leaned forward. Can you build them here? With the right materials, yes. But it will take time. We don't have time, Hyun said. Then we make time, Ji-won replied. She looked at Yuna. What do you need? As Yuna worked on weapons, a young man named Junho An worked on something equally important. He was a hacker, one of the best Earth had ever produced. Before the war, he had been arrested 3 times for breaking into corporate systems. Now his skills were desperately needed. Junho spent every waking hour trying to crack council encryption. Their security was good, but it wasn't perfect. Slowly, bit by bit, he worked his way into their networks. I'm in, he announced one night, startling everyone in the communications room. You broke their encryption? Suji asked, disbelieving. Not entirely, but I found a backdoor in their civilian systems. I can access their public databases and some low-level military communications. He pulled up files on his screen. And look what I found. The files detailed the Council's history, the 32 species they had destroyed, the methods they used, the way they justified it to themselves. But there was more. Yunho had found financial records showing corruption in the Council leadership, resources meant for member species being diverted to private accounts, evidence of the Veltrax military using Council fleets for personal gain. This is ammunition, Admiral Hyun said, studying the data. Not the kind fired from guns, but something we can use. If the Council isn't as united as they pretend, we can exploit that. A woman named Sarah Bayek, who had been a corporate executive before the war, stepped forward. I can help with that. I spent 20 years managing supply chains and logistics. If we're going to fight a long war, we need to organize our resources better. She was right. The scattered human survivors needed coordination. Sarah took charge of that, creating networks between outposts, organizing supply runs, and ensuring that everyone had what they needed to keep fighting. Slowly, humanity adapted to its new reality. They were no longer trying to build a peaceful civilization among the stars. They were fighting for survival, and that changed everything. Dr. Yuna completed the first quantum disruption torpedo 3 months after the initial attack. It was crude compared to what she had envisioned, but it worked. Testing showed it could penetrate Council shields. We can't build enough of these to win a conventional war, she told Admiral Hyun. But we don't need to fight conventionally. Hyun understood. Hit and run. Strike and fade. Make them afraid. Exactly. At the same time, Minho made a disturbing discovery. While studying captured Council biological data, he found weaknesses in their physiology. Each species had evolved on different worlds, developing different biological systems. What was harmless to one species could be deadly to another. We could weaponize this, he said reluctantly. Create biological agents that target specific Council species. The room fell silent. Jiwon looked at him. That's biological warfare, Minho. I know. But they're trying to exterminate us. Every single human. Men, women, children. They don't care. His voice shook. My sister was in New York. My parents were on Luna base. They're all dead, Jiwon. Dead because the Council decided we were too dangerous to exist. Admiral Hyun spoke quietly. If we use biological weapons, we become monsters. We're already monsters to them, Daehyun Sung said through the communication link from Mars. They see us as vermin to be exterminated. So let's be the most dangerous vermin they've ever faced. Jiwon closed her eyes. This wasn't what she had wanted. She had dreamed of peaceful exploration, of learning from alien civilizations. Instead, she was planning genocide, but they had no choice. Humanity was dying. Every day, more people fell to Council weapons. If they didn't fight back with everything they had, they would be extinct within a year. Do it, she said finally. Develop the biological weapons. But we use them strategically, only against military targets when possible. There's something else, Junho said. He had been quiet, listening to the debate. I've been working on a computer virus, something that could infect Council AI systems. Most of their ships and weapons rely on automated systems. If we could turn those against them. Admiral Hyun allowed himself a small smile. It was the first time anyone had seen him smile since the war began. You're all talking about asymmetric warfare, using our weaknesses as advantages. They're stronger than us, Suji said. Smarter in some ways. But they've been comfortable for too long. They've forgotten what it means to really fight. Then let's remind them, Hyun said. He broadcast a message to all human forces across the solar system and beyond. His words were simple but powerful. To all surviving members of the human race, the Galactic Council tried to destroy us. They believed we would be easy prey. They were wrong. We are not giving up. We are not surrendering. Every one of us will fight. Every one of us will make them pay for what they've done. They wanted to erase humanity from the galaxy. Instead, they've made the worst enemy they could imagine. An enemy with nothing left to lose, the message spread. On Earth, resistance fighters heard it and renewed their attacks. On Mars, Daehyun's forces struck 3 Council supply depots in one night. At hidden outposts across the solar system, humans prepared for war. The Council had expected a quick victory. They were about to learn that humans were much harder to kill than they thought. Captain Jiwon Park stood on the bridge of the Harmony, staring at the massive alien station floating in the darkness of space. She had dreamed of this moment her entire life. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The stars were full of life, and they were finally meeting their neighbors. The station was enormous, easily 50 times the size of Earth's largest space station. Lights flickered across its surface in patterns that seemed almost alive. Ships of strange shapes and sizes docked along its outer ring. Some looked like crystals. Others resembled organic creatures more than machines. Jiwon felt her heart race with excitement. Dr. Minho Kim stepped beside her, his face pressed against the viewing window like a child at an aquarium. He was supposed to be the calm scientist, but even he could barely contain himself. Do you see that ship on the left? The purple one? I think it's made of living tissue. This is incredible. Focus, Minho, Jiwon said, though she was smiling. We're representing all of humanity today. Let's try to look professional. Behind them, Suji Choi sat at her station monitoring communications. Unlike the others, she didn't look excited. She looked worried. Her fingers moved quickly across her console, checking and rechecking the data streams coming from the alien station. The communication channel crackled to life. A translator device converted the alien sounds into something humans could understand. Terran Vessel Harmony, you are cleared to dock at Port 7. Welcome to the Galactic Council. We have waited a long time to meet you. Jiwon activated her microphone. Thank you, Council Station. We're honored to be here. Humanity brings greetings from Earth. The docking procedure was smooth. As the Harmony connected to the station, Jiwon gathered her small team. Besides Minho and Suji, she had 4 security officers and 2 diplomats. It was a tiny delegation for such an important meeting, but they were all Earth could spare. The journey to this sector of space had taken 3 months, even with their newest faster-than-light drives. The airlock opened, revealing 3 alien beings waiting to greet them. Jiwon had seen their images in the preliminary transmissions, but nothing prepared her for seeing them in person. The first was tall and insect-like, with 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected rainbow colors. Its exoskeleton was a deep blue-black and it moved with unsettling grace. This was Ambassador Veltrax, representing the Veltrax species that served as military leaders of the Council. The second alien was harder to look at directly. It seemed to be made of glowing gas contained in a transparent suit. Colors swirled within its form, and its voice came from a device attached to its containment suit. This was a Lumini, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The third alien was smaller, about human-sized, with smooth gray skin and large eyes. It looked almost friendly compared to the others. Welcome, humans, the Lumini said through its translator. I am Counselor Brex. We have observed your species for some time. You have impressive potential. Jiwon bowed slightly, a gesture she hoped would translate as respect. Thank you, Counselor. We're eager to learn from you and join the galactic community. Over the next hours, the Council representatives gave them a tour. They showed off technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. Faster-than-light engines that could cross the galaxy in weeks, medical devices that could heal any injury, power sources that never ran out, defensive shields that could stop any weapon. All of this could be yours, Ambassador Veltrax said, its mandibles clicking. If you join the Council, Earth will have access to our complete technological database. Your species will advance 1,000 years in a single generation. Minho looked like he might faint from excitement. Even Jiwon felt overwhelmed. This was everything humanity had hoped for and more. But Suji remained quiet. She stayed at the back of the group, her eyes constantly moving, observing everything. That night, as the human delegation rested in their assigned quarters on the station, Suji came to Jiwon's room. Her face was pale. Captain, we need to talk. Privately. Jiwon dismissed her security officer and locked the door. What's wrong? Suji pulled out a small device, checking for listening equipment. Once satisfied they were alone, she spoke quickly. I've been monitoring the Council's internal communications. They're encrypted, but I managed to break through some of the lower-level channels. Captain, they're planning to attack Earth. Jiwon felt her blood turn cold. What? That's impossible. They've been nothing but welcoming. It's a trap, Suji insisted. She pulled up data on her tablet. Look at these transmissions. They call us a rapid emergent species. They're worried about how fast we've developed technology. In the past 100 years, we went from basic aircraft to faster-than-light travel. They think we're dangerous, but we're peaceful, Jiwon protested. We came here offering friendship. That doesn't matter to them, Suji said. I found references to something called Preventative Management Protocol. Captain, I think they've done this before. To other species like us? Jiwon wanted to dismiss it as paranoia, but Suji was her best intelligence officer. She didn't make mistakes about things like this. How long do we have? I don't know. But we need to warn Earth immediately. They rushed to the communication room, but it was too late. Alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Through the windows, Jiwon saw Council warships moving into formation, their weapons charging. What's happening? Minho asked, running into the corridor. Jiwon grabbed him. We need to get to the Harmony, now. They ran through the station's corridors, but Council security forces appeared, blocking their path. The insect-like Veltrax soldiers raised weapons that hummed with energy. "You will return to your quarters," one of them commanded. Suji pulled out her sidearm, but Jiwon pushed it down. "We're outnumbered. We need another way." Minho suddenly pointed to a side corridor, the maintenance tunnels. I studied the station's layout. "We can reach the docking bay through there." They ran. Behind them, the Veltrax soldiers gave chase. Energy bolts scorched the walls around them. Jiwon's heart pounded as they navigated the narrow passages, following Minho's directions. They burst into the docking bay just as the first explosions echoed through space. Through the bay windows, Jiwon saw the horrible truth. Council ships were firing into the depths of space, toward the inner solar system. Toward Earth. "No," she whispered. The Harmony was still docked, but its hull was damaged. Council soldiers had already boarded it. "The escape shuttle," Suji shouted. "It's our only chance." They fought their way to the small shuttle attached to the Harmony's underside. Minho got the engine started while Jiwon and Suji held off the soldiers. The shuttle detached just as a Veltrax warrior reached them, its claws scraping against the closing door. The shuttle rocketed away from the station. Behind them, the Harmony exploded, destroyed by Council weapons. "Earth," Jiwon said desperately. "We need to contact Earth." Suji worked the communication panel, her hands shaking. She managed to establish a connection, but what they heard made them all go silent. The message was from Admiral Hyun Lee, broadcast on all emergency channels. His voice was strained, barely controlled. "This is Admiral Lee to all Terran vessels. Earth is under attack. Mars colony has fallen. Lunar base is destroyed. Billions are dead. The Council has betrayed us. All units fall back to Rally Point Omega. This is war." The transmission cut off. Jiwon slumped in her chair, staring at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, Earth was burning. Humanity's first contact with alien life had become its worst nightmare. "Where do we go?" Minho asked quietly. Jiwon's jaw tightened. She felt rage building inside her, replacing the shock. "The Kuiper research station. It's classified and far enough out that the Council might not know about it." She looked at her two companions. "We're going to survive this. And somehow we're going to make them pay." The small shuttle turned away from the Council station and jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying 3 of the few humans who knew the full extent of the Council's betrayal. Behind them, the war for humanity's survival had already begun.